Welcome to Bendy. Join your two favorite transatlantic weirdos, Andy from Ireland and Beth from the USA, as we take you on a journey through every topic imaginable, with insight, vulnerability, and fart jokes, or in other words, the complete human experience.
Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible in all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young and I'm one of your actualized transcendent hosts. Joining me as always is our other actualized and transcendent host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always. What's the crack with you
Andy,
this week?
What does actualized mean?
So actualized is mean, as far as I understand, is like you've reached your peak potential in whatever. If you're actualized,
right.
You're the best version of you can possibly be, and the way.
So we've
both completed mental health, right? So we're
we checked that box.
Yeah. So Beth, what is the crack with you?
What is the crack? So Mike's back from Vegas. Yay!
Nice.
So that means that I have help again,
Mm-hmm.
and also means that we're the projects begin.
Of course.
So we're out staining the concrete in the backyard. Don't know why, but we're doing it. And apparently that's what you do with houses. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm trying something new.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Pomodoro technique.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Yes. So I am in such procrastination land. I cannot dig myself out of it. I'm not doing yoga. I'm not, for listeners, I'm writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm I'm 3/4 of the way done. Can't write, can't look at it. I'm working on some of trying to get some of my dad's screenplays going. Can't look at them. So I was talking to a friend and she was like, "Oh, have you heard of the tomato timer?" And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "The tomato timer technique." And she was like, "It's some Italian or someone." So the guy's name is Francisco Cirillo,
Mm-hmm.
and created this technique where you actually have a literal tomato timer. I'll upload me using it onto whatever platform so people can actually see it's the cutest thing ever. And so you basically divide up your tasks and you do the thing for 15 to 25 minutes. And then you take a 5-minute break.
Oh.
And then you do the other thing for 15 to 25 minutes and then you take a break. But that way you do something.
Yeah.
Even if it's not all of the things. And so I've started procrastinating that.
Yeah. Oh, procrastinating on the Pomodoro technique?
On the Pomodoro technique. But it's really exciting because I know I've tried using my phone for this.
Uh-huh.
But then I get on my phone and I'm like, oh, well, let me look at this thing and let me check that and, texting. And so it literally just takes the phone element out of it, which is one of my goals these days in general, right? Because it's become all the things and that drives me crazy. And don't even get me started on 2-layer authentication using my phone to get into anything. So it's literally just a little cute tomato timer that sits on my desk and I use it. Thanks. Thank you.
It definitely does sound, you're welcome. It definitely does sound familiar. I think I've heard of that before. I don't think I knew the name. Because it's something that I had.
Because you're smart.
Because I'm super smart, yeah. Is something I had tried in terms of some of my creative stuff was going at least do 5 minutes a day or whatever, and because you can always find 5 minutes, and oftentimes you'll find that if you start doing 5 minutes of something, then maybe it'll flow a little bit more and you can get more done. You can have a productive session. But certainly in recent months, I just haven't had time at all. But I hope to, and I've kind of now carved out what I hope are 2 afternoons a week that I can use to do creative stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how in recent time it's been bogged down with other things, but my hope is that I can use that productively. But we'll see how it goes.
That's good. Do you want to flip the crack to you?
Sure. Okay.
What's the crack?
What's the crack with me? So I guess I'm still kind of doing a lot with the choir. We're building up towards our Christmas concert, which is going to be happening on the 13th of December.
I
And
feel like I asked you this already. Are you guys going to stream it?
no, the reason why we're
Okay.
not is because you have to, like, there's a whole rights thing with stuff
Ooh,
like that
gotcha.
that just gets really, it gets dodgy.
I'm realizing that there was a lot of you guys can opt out of a lot in the UK and
Yeah.
Ireland. Like,
Yes,
I
with the
can't
digital
collect
rights stuff. Yeah.
analytic. Yes, so
Yeah.
like analytics I'm not getting
Yeah, that's
from
fairly,
from your
yeah,
countries.
it's a
I can
minefield.
say countries. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
because it was
Okay,
all
keep
of
going.
Europe, but yes. And what was I? Oh yes, choir. So, yeah. So it's just been a lot. I think, hopefully, I'm going to be in a bit of a better place this week, and things are going to start settling down. But yeah, that's been drawing a lot of my focus over the past week, I would say. So that's a crack
How
for me.
much time do you spend on that, do you think?
Oosh. I mean,
That was a face you just made.
I really don't know. Like, I mean, I'd say whenever it gets super busy, for a while there, when things had settled down, I was maybe doing a couple of hours a week. But I'd say at the minute, it's probably closer to like, I don't know, probably a day's worth of work. So probably 7 or 8 hours a lot of the time, just with various bits and pieces. Like, that's including the rehearsal itself and stuff and the kind of
Okay.
build up for that and things, you know. But it's not insubstantial, you know, whenever I'm trying to make ends meet in other ways. I mean, again, I really like it. I really am excited about it, and I'm really excited to see where we go with it. But yeah, it has been. It's also been like such a learning curve because I haven't really done anything like this before. I've never organized anything of any sort of size. I mean, I've certainly organized smaller groups of folks, but like this is a much bigger project. But the exciting thing about it is that I had a meeting last week and with other groups who are doing stuff in the Carrickfergus area, and they really liked, you know, how I was getting on and you know, and I was talking to them about, you know, the frustrations of like earning money, trying off by yourself, and you know, it's a possibility of maybe finding something in that sector, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah.
And that's not something that I had anticipated or
Yeah.
planned on. So it's just really lovely, the kind of things that you get just from building these connections that you don't, you know.
It's nice to do something and then somehow it turns into a job offer.
Yes. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
So lovely.
That would be amazing. And you would be like, yeah, I mean, I'm already, my wheels are turning, but are you guys charging like tickets?
Yeah. So what we're going to do
Okay.
is, it's been a bit tricky to, this is another thing of figuring out, is I am putting a donation price in our Eventbrite event. So basically, I know I couldn't think.
Good description.
Right. So basically, I'm asking if people can either pay £2, £5, or £10, and like any money they pay supports the choir, basically. Mm-hmm. So that's what I've put in there, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what we get from it.
That's awesome. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Is like a big deal.
It is a big deal. It is a big deal, and it's just not something I anticipated at all. At the start of this year, if you told me I was doing this, I would have went, no, you're not. And yet here I am.
Yes, we can say that about a lot of things.
Yeah, welcome to my life. Both our lives, I suppose.
I guess. As it was.
I know.
What? It doesn't make any sense. As it were?
As it were. As it was, as it were. Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
Okay, I don't understand what you're saying.
We're in the right area though, right? Kind of people.
I think so. I think so.
People are vibing with us, right? And that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Okay, so we thought of a business corner name.
Business corner.
So right,
so,
but it's
Beth. What's occurring?
What's occurring?
What's occurring?
Which means what's going on, what's happening, what's occurring.
Yeah, I mean, like,
so.
Yeah.
I have good news for you.
Oh yeah.
I was able to get some data from some random person that emailed us that our comedy podcast is number 136 in Ireland.
Nice.
I know. We broke the 200 barrier.
That's nuts.
And we're 91st for comedy podcasts in Pakistan. So
yes,
we've got that going for us. So I started a YouTube channel where we post the actual like podcast for people to listen to, but I'm also putting shorts up. Mm-hmm. So I like edit down these videos that we make into funny things or whatever. Some people think they're funny. And I did the one where you were describing mirthful.
Yeah, I saw that one, and you did the one with me doing the wasp joke as well.
Yeah. But mirthful is getting the most views.
No way, really?
Yes.
So funny. This is why I've started dressing nicer, because I'm like, we're going to...
I'm wearing makeup.
Got a nice jumper on.
A jumper is a shirt, right? A sweater?
A sweater, yeah.
Okay. Like a Macintosh?
No, I think I would maybe describe what you're wearing as a jumper as well. So a kind of woolen, long-sleeved top garment. Oh, no, that's not good. I fell apart at the end there.
It's okay. So I thought that was funny. Also, I'm captioning this podcast, which is, they give you options sometimes. You can do English UK or English USA, and neither of them can figure out what you're saying at the time. So it's like you said 6 and it kept saying sex on the caption, and something you were saying and it was like blah blah blah, and what you said was completely different, but it said, the caption said vaccine, and so it's just like, I'm like, we're getting flagged.
How interesting. So
it is
sex and vaccine podcast.
Sexy vaccine podcast. I'm dying when I like, and I'm not changing or editing them because they're just too funny. So
yeah, definitely
if you want a good laugh, no, just read the captions on any of the shorts that we're posting. We got a shout out from our friends Pedro and Leah, who own a surfing school in south of Lisbon. It's in Lisbon. So I just wanted to say thank you. They're amazing. And also, if anyone's in Portugal, go to this surfing school. They're amazing. It's www.saliensurfing.com. Great teachers. Yeah. Great staff. They have a restaurant there, and so you can, the food is amazing, right? So, yeah. So, hey guys, and thank you. And we're just plugging your business.
We love you
because we love you. Yes. That's what's occurring.
That's what's occurring. Nice. I like to hear it. I hope you're well updated. I think. I suppose do I have to give a smoke update? I am still sometimes smelling smoke. Yeah, I'm going to see the...
So weird.
I'm going to talk to the doctor about it this week, so we'll see what happens.
It's so weird.
It is. It's my brain very slowly failing probably at this juncture, but we'll find out soon, I guess.
Why couldn't it be candy?
I agree completely. I mean, if it was something nice, I wouldn't want it fixed.
There's not much I hate more than the smell of it. Like, is it cigarette smoke or like... It
kind of is.
Burning house.
It's not quite as intense as cigarette smoke, but it doesn't have that like sharpness to it, but it has a similar character for sure.
I think you have a peeping Tom that's like staring in your window smoking cigarettes.
Is quite possible.
I
gotta keep my eyes open for peeping Toms. It would be hard to peep into this house, but yeah, I mean, I appreciate their effort if they're doing that. And also, smoking is ballsy. if you're peeping at somebody and you're smoking, geez Louise.
You do not give a fuck.
No, clearly not.
All right, I think that's all that's all the news. That's all the news. Anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think so.
Keep us posted on your smelling smoke.
Yeah.
When do you go to the doctor?
I'm going to talk to him on Wednesday, so...
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed.
Okay, well, give us an update.
Thanks.
Or, it might be a stalker.
Yeah, or it might be a stalker. That's what we'll find out. I just set up cameras around the house as well, so we can get...
I think you should.
We can rule out both options.
Okay. All right, do you want to move on to our topic of the day?
Yes, please.
So we are going to talk about emotional health. So I'm just going to read a quick disclaimer. This is a sensitive topic for many. So Bendy the Podcast and content posted by Bendy the Podcast is presented solely for general informational, educational, and entertainment purposes. Listeners should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice from any medical or mental health condition they may have, and should seek assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And now let's bare our souls.
Dun, dun, dun. Like, yeah, and I think, that's probably, we should say that about, like, I mean, all of what we are talking about is just our experiences anyway. And
yeah.
To me, I find it's useful hearing other people's experiences because it makes me feel less alone with these things a lot of the time. And
agreed.
I think that's kind of what we're trying to do with this when we talk about it a little bit. If, from both of us talking a little bit openly about this sort of subject, if it's helpful to somebody in any way at all, then amazing. But it should not replace, speaking to somebody, an actual professional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Way to summarize what I just said.
Yeah. Thank you. We're doing to fill minutes here, Beth. Okay.
I know. You just don't want to talk about this.
No, I'm you know me. I am an open book.
I know.
I actually, so just because I was a little bit worried about, in case it gets too intense. So there is a meme that I love. Do you know the sort of the format of the meme is men will literally and then something nuts and then it's like, but instead of going to therapy meme, do you know that one?
It's like similar to, there was another one rolling around that was like describing like a hairball that someone had in their stomach, and it was like the size of a hot dog and as heavy as a potato. Oh. And like the way it was described, it was like Americans will do anything to avoid the metric system.
I love it.
So I got you.
Do you want me to give you an example? I've got one.
Yes.
Written out that I created. I think it's mine. I'm sure somebody else's had this thought elsewhere. So men will literally find the one ring, put together a fellowship, break that fellowship, then travel to the peak of Mount Doom instead of going to therapy. So like that, right? Yes. So I'll try to drop those, if things are getting too tense.
Please do.
We'll just drop in
I like
a wee men will rather. Okay.
Okay. And I just want to begin this by saying thank you to you for being open enough to talk about this.
Of course.
Because, well, it's not of course.
Yeah, you're right.
You are, this is something that you and I talk about a lot.
True.
But the fact that you're open enough to talk about it and you're vulnerable enough to talk about it, it just shows a lot of strength of your own, and like getting to the point where you are able to talk about it. And as not to point out the fact that you are a male, but you are.
What?
And I know, sorry. Surprise.
Blow on the spot.
I know, right? But it's not something that I think given your culture and, it's not something that's spoken about. And so if this podcast episode helps anybody to open up to a friend, like that would be, like if it just helps one person to do that, and then get thee to therapy, yay.
Yes.
And, so I just want to say thank you.
No. Yes, thank you for saying that. You didn't, I appreciate it. Because I often am like, whatever. But you're right, it's true. And I mean, I know that it's still. I feel like certainly these days I'm hearing a lot of people kind of go, "Oh, well, it's getting a lot better," and then by just saying that sentence, then they're done. It's like sweet, things are changing, and I'm like,
right,
yeah, but still, it's still tough to have like. Those conversations, or I don't know. We can talk a bit more. We're going to get into it. Do you want to lead off with the question, or shall I lead off with the question?
I'll start.
Okay.
How I'm choosing to use the word emotional health.
Yes, I like it.
Because mental health is, I feel like it focuses too much on one thing.
Yeah.
Like, does your brain work? Do you need medication? As opposed to like this whole other like, mind body. It's the yoga, the mind body
Yeah.
spirit. You can't have okay mental health without having okay emotional health. So I think that those go hand in hand. So, with that in mind, how generally is your emotional health these days,
Um,
Andy?
yeah, it's like I would say, it's not been great. It's such an interesting thing in terms of, I think as soon as I started paying more attention to it, and just quickly for people who don't know, I guess over the past 5 years I have done. Okay, actually, let's go a bit further back. I guess I first started noticing these sort of deep sort of dips in my late teens, early 20s. I initially made the effort to try to talk to a doctor in my mid 20s, and he essentially gave me a form, and like, because when I start talking about this stuff, especially when I'm trying to really talk about it in detail, as because for like mental health professionals that's useful, like I'll cry quite quickly. And so like there's this young doctor, and he just panicked, and he gave me a form, and he left the room, and he did not come back into the room, and it put me, I know it's not good, and that put me off for years, and until I went back again,
That's
probably.
gonna make me cry.
I know. So like probably like to 6 or 7 years later, in like early 30s, I went back, and there was a doctor there, and like Doctor, well, I don't know what's her name, but who, she was so kind, and she really kind of set me off on a path, and she kind of got me on to do some CBT, and then I was going to speak to a.
Just to CBT is cognitive behavioral
Yes,
therapy for those that don't know.
it's kind of like a toolbox to kind of sort of a mental toolbox to help deal with some emotional stuff, and I think there's value there. I didn't find it super useful for me. There's still stuff that I took from it that I still kind of use, that I like, but it wasn't really a good fit for me. I was then going to do therapy, and this was all via the NHS, and I was about to start doing that, but then I got myself a girlfriend, and you get yourself a girlfriend, all your mental health problems are solved, right?
Right.
So I didn't bother
Until they're
until
not.
they're not. I didn't bother until that relationship ended, and then I had some pretty bad times. Did some more CBT. Got into therapy. Therapy really helped me process a lot of stuff. Had been really good for me. Certainly my first therapist. I then spent a little bit more time in therapy last year. I want to say about 12 months, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's up to where I am now. I think I would like to always be in therapy, but it's very expensive, and I just can't, I can't afford it right now, sadly. But so I think my mental health is okay at the minute. I had a particularly bad dip over the past few days, so it's tough for me to give a sort of accurate judgment on it. I think I've mostly been good. I think like doing things like this, the podcast has really helps. The choir really helps. But I have definitely had some really deep, dark sort of moments over the past few years in particular. Like yeah, and it's tough because especially now, I have the tools to deal with a lot of this stuff sometimes, like
Mm-hmm.
um so it means that whenever I hit a really bad spot, and I'm then unable to kind of deal with it, or not get pulled in, I take it a lot harder. I really kind of, it then, because I'm blaming myself, that then feeds it, and it just kind of makes it a lot worse. Um, so I'm okay, I would say, but I'm still in this, and I don't think I'll ever stop. I'm still like in this period of like constant vigilance, and it's just a lot and tiring a lot of the time.
I understand.
What about you?
It's interesting. I think mine, I've had, it's been a roller coaster of a couple decades.
Yeah.
Like, I think mine, it was more situational. My dad died in 2007, and that just like rocked my, it split me in half. And then I'd never really had anything that awful happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm going to be super vulnerable here. He had cancer for 3.5 years, and he didn't let my mom tell anyone. So I didn't know until a week before he passed away. So that was just like shock on top of shock, I
Yeah.
guess. And then, to think back, like those 3.5 years and like what could I have done
Yeah.
differently and all those, it's like, oh, so then I just like tanked. And, they kept trying to put me on different antidepressants, but none of them, I would have bad reactions. And I wasn't sleeping. And when you don't sleep, like my insomnia has always been part of my life, but then it really got really bad. And I didn't really have any coping mechanisms at that point. I didn't know how to deal with grief. I refused, to go to therapy. I refused to go to like grief sessions. I just literally dealt with it by not dealing with it,
Yeah.
I guess. I just worked and worked and worked and avoided it as long as I could. And then it was about the time where we decided like, okay, we think we're gonna have kids, and I was like, all right, I gotta get my shit together here.
Yeah.
So I went to it's not EMDR therapy, but it's very similar, where it's basically what happens like um I'm gonna botch this up, and listeners, like if you have more information, send it to me and
Yeah.
I'll add it to our website. But it's basically like your whole you go into almost like a trance, and your whole body shakes, and you're like off gassing all of this trauma energy. So I started there, and then she was like, okay, you're done. And I was like, what? And she's like, yep, this is the last, like, you're good. And it wasn't like, here's the next step, like go talk to someone. It was just like, you're done now. And I was like, I felt like I'd been broken up with. So and then yeah, I started seeing a therapist, and basically I started to get my act together, therapy, doing a little bit more yoga. And then I was like, I'm good. Things are good. I'm good enough. Like, it's good enough, right? I'm
Yes.
good
Yeah.
enough. I'm good enough. And then I got COVID, and then I got long COVID, and then I was bedridden for like 2.5 years, and I lost everything. I had lost my job. Like I literally couldn't. I was slowly dying, and it was just a really difficult thing to go through.
Yeah.
And that was the most depressed I've ever been. And I'm still coming out of it, and I'm still working through it. But I will say, like, there were days that I didn't want to be in my body anymore. There were days where I couldn't see a future at all.
Yeah.
And so it took a lot of different types of therapies. I'm now seeing a therapist every week, and I'm seeing a psychotherapist once a month, and we're trying different medications. And I have no, because of COVID, my body doesn't create serotonin or dopamine,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which are things that will help you feel better,
Yeah.
right? But anything that we try and introduce into my body, I have a bad reaction to it. So we're just kind of like throwing darts at the wall.
Experimenting.
And so I tried one last week, and it was just like, it made me more anxious. And so I'm better than I was, absolutely, for sure. But I I say, like, I'll just say, like, I have, I think, similar um responses to when I am in the depressive mode where it's like, okay, it's my fault, or what did I do to get here again, or like, I blame myself for it,
Yeah.
even though I know it's just like, it's not my fault. It's just, it's how my body's built right now, or whatever happened to it. And it's not, my body works so hard for me, and I'm so hard on it, and so I'm trying to sort of bridge that a little bit more. So yeah, that's a really long answer to your
No, it is. I
question.
mean, like, I gave a really long answer too. It was very,
Yeah,
it was
yeah. No,
interesting.
it's good. So yeah, it's I will say, like, I'm just going to echo what you said, and I'm not going to use the word that you used because I can't remember it, but um it's it's maintenance all the
It
time.
is.
And it will always be maintenance all the time
And
for the rest of my life.
there's something quite like exhausting about that, and like in a way that is very hard. I know other people who understand it, but a lot of people don't. And and it's or like, I don't know whether this is me or whether this is a real reaction that people give you, or people tell you you're being dramatic, or you know what I mean, and that's very frustrating.
Yeah.
That's maddening. um
Yeah.
but it's I I suppose, like, I think I've talked to you about it in these terms before, and I think it's a useful way to think about it. And certainly for me is that I know what sad is. I've been sad before. I've been really sad. Um, but this is different, and it's sad is something that fades over time, and can stay with you and can keep things with you. But this is like, can be sudden. It can be triggered by nothing really, and it has this sort of really terrifying pull to it
Hmm.
that can feel really inescapable, and almost like, I don't know, welcoming at times as well. It's like, this is the
A
solution.
familiar. Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Exactly. And I think that certainly, and I know that other people feel that, feel that or feel something similar to that. And again, as always, all I can do is talk about my experience with it. But I, it's like, you're at the edge of a whirlpool, and it's just pulling you in and in and in, and you can't do anything about it. And sometimes then, certainly for me, the frustration I feel at being unable to deal with it just makes me spin faster into that whirlpool.
Hmm.
Um, it's really difficult, and it's I don't know about you, how you feel about this, but like, I feel like I've done a pretty good job. No, I think I do a very good job. It's one of the things I think I'll give myself credit for, that, and it's not all good, but like, I do a very good job of putting a version of myself out into the world that is complete and is functional, and um, can be relied upon, and whatever. But like, that takes so much energy, so much of my energy to do so often, and um, it's hard to it's really hard to keep that up. It's really hard to keep that up while you're also trying to maintain whatever shit's going on internally as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wish that more people, you know, it's like what begets what, if you share that part of yourself with the world, does it, like, what would happen, right?
Yeah.
Would it make the depression and the whirlpool and the deep dark worse? Or would it freak people out? Or like,
Yeah.
these are things, like, as a society, at least in our culture, like, we haven't made that leap as far. And like, I wonder, like, what would happen if, you know, it's kind of like commercials that are like, they skirt around whatever they're trying to sell, and they should just be like, it's a deodorant commercial, you
Yes.
smell bad, right?
Yeah.
Put this on your armpit so you don't
Oh,
smell like
great.
shit,
Okay. Yeah.
right? So it's like, if we just put it all out there, like, and said what was really happening, what would actually happen, and I don't know if it's different in your culture than it is in mine. And there are times that I have shared, like, okay, like, I'm in bed and I've been in bed for a year.
Yeah.
Like, and people are like, holy moly, didn't know. And
Yeah.
and that's been both good and bad, I think.
Yes.
But I wonder if in the UK, like, is that even an option for you?
Like, I think we're even more stoic and like, the like British or the English term stiff upper lip sort of thing. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and it's just like bury these things down, but it's like that's so damaging, and you see how damaging it is in with people, and so I think like, I mean, I should have checked the figures. I know that like, Northern Ireland has a problem with like suicide and things like that, because we are such a sort of like just bury it all on the inside. And like I have literally had the advice from people to like, when talking about this, was like, can you not just bury it down on the inside? Which is wild to me.
Wow.
Because it's like, what do you think? Do you think it just goes away if you do that? It doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. It's and I see like the impact that I see how that attitude impacts, so many levels of our culture. Do you know what I mean? And so much of the sort of, I'm a big, strong, angry man type thing, and how not dealing with your own emotions then leads to negative outcomes for that person and for the people around you, and it feels like such a worse way of dealing with it rather than actually maybe looking inwards and having a kind of honest sort of appraisal of what's going on with you.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like people expect you to like, you're funny, right? You're just a funny human being. The things you post are funny. It does bring me laughter and joy when, I see something funny that you post, but knowing you, like, and I do know the effort that goes into that. I guess, are you doing that for you, or are you doing that for other people?
Like, I think I've said this to you before in terms of like, because I don't have a lot of sort of internal resources for like self-esteem, I kind of, I mean, that's true and it isn't true. Like, this is a longer sort of thing, because I feel like when I really think about it, there's a lot of things that I can admit I do well, and I think I've got a lot of strengths, but like it's hard sometimes just in the moment to see those and to like to use those to kind of, I don't know, boost myself up. So I think I present a version of myself out into the world so that people will like me, and I'll get those sort of that lift from that. But I think I've told you about it before, where I feel like so often I'm kind of like, oh, please like me, please like me, please like me. And then whenever I am convinced, or when I think people like me, and that takes a while, I'm kind of like, you like me? What the fuck's wrong with you?
Mm-hmm.
Which is so messed up, and it's like, I don't know. And like, it's been that way for me for like, I think I've only really been able to isolate that and think about it in that way in recent years, but it's absolutely the pattern in my life, and it's like, it then creates this kind of dissonance where I'm wondering whether, this version of myself that I present into the world, is that what people like? Is that me? I don't know. And it's like, and then that's, those are the sort of cracks in your psyche that I think the sort of emotional health stuff then exploits. It's like, yeah, there's a chink in the armor here, and then it just kind of could crack you open from there.
Mm-hmm. Or you can just concrete it and then stuff
Yeah,
it down.
yeah. Or what do you call it, plasterboard? I don't know if you have plasterboard. Yeah. Okay, it's just like, it's just like sticky tape. It's more likely than concrete, I think.
Right.
just sticky tape your mental health problems together.
That's right.
Yeah, and then let's just like smack it and go, that's fine.
Do you have a question? Or do you want to?
Oh, I do have a question. Yeah, I do. Actually, I do, because so I I think I've got thoughts on this as well. But do you think there are upsides to emotional health issues, and if so, what do you think they are?
That's a really good question. I think that there are upsides to emotional health issues if you are capable of self-reflection.
Yes.
And I think we're surrounded by some people that are just don't have that capability of self-reflection.
It's true. Or,
And
or like a fear of even trying the self-reflection. Yeah.
yes. And I what do we call it? The conscious observer, where you're kind of like looking at yourself from the outside. Um, and I think I do think that there is an upside. I think the upsides are you get to know yourself better.
Yeah.
I think that you add, we always say like tools to our tool belt. That some things work for us, some things don't, and I think a sort of a product of being in this place that I didn't anticipate is that people come to me for advice.
Yeah.
And they come to me saying, oh, I have similar issues. What do I do with all of this? And then I can recommend, things that I've tried, EMDR, CBT, Transcendental Meditation, so it's broadened my, I would also say it's broadened my worldview on what other cultures use to help their emotional health, like meditation, like yoga. Transcendental meditation came from, I'm going to say it, Himalayan mountains. I don't, depends on where you are and how you pronounce it, but that's been almost a fascinating part of it for me, where I'm like, this is so cool, I want to learn about this, and then all of a sudden I'm not so much in the whirlpool or the deep dark well, but I'm reading a book about something that could be helpful. So
that's a good answer.
What's your answer to that? That's a really good question.
I think, like, I am, and I think this is, I mean, who knows, but like I think my a lot of the sort of darker aspects of this are a symptom of me feeling things so deeply. I think I have gained more empathy as a result, but I think I've always been quite empathic in that sort of way. I think I've always really strongly been affected by strong emotions around me, and like, they can really lift me high or they can really take me down. And I think that, and I love that in a way. Like, I love that I have the capacity for that. I think I will kind of like, I think I feel things in a way that a lot of other people don't. And I mean, that's amazing and sometimes, but it's absolutely awful other times. And and as much as like the awful times, I really kind of wish they didn't happen a lot. I don't think if a fix for this was that I also lost out on the amazing feelings, then I don't know that I would take it, because it would be, too great a loss. So I think that's it for me. I think, because I think it is just that I am like, we've talked before in terms of like, I am soft, and I don't mean that and like, I know that a lot of girls are soft. Can you imagine? Like, for a man, I don't care. Like, I am, like, I'm sensitive, I'm emotional, I struggle with a lot of things that, some certain things that people seem to take in their stride. I really do, but like, I don't care, because like, I think those are the things that kind of make me more unique and hopefully interesting, I guess. But like, they are so even though it comes with a lot of sort of, a lot of troughs. It comes with a lot of peaks as well, I guess.
We call them peaks and valleys.
Peaks and valleys, okay.
Yeah.
Is trough a word that you use in America?
It is for like, that's what pigs eat out
Yeah,
of.
it is, yeah.
Yeah. It's the pig trough. So can I ask you a question then? Would you say that soft self
Mm-hmm.
that is inherently who you are, and I know this about you
Yes.
because I am also soft,
Yes.
Which is why we can just be like two pillows together.
Straight.
But would you say that's the real you?
Probably, yeah. I mean, it's close. I think so. And I think it's like, if I'm in a good way and I'm feeling okay about myself, I think that is what people respond to in me. Like, and I think it's true for both of us. Like, people really respond well to both of us and really like both of us. And like, but I would say that for both of us would be like, what the fuck are you talking about sometimes? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
we reject
yes.
that, you know, a little.
Yes.
And like, and I do, definitely I do, you know, it's I really kind of push it away. And you know, like, I had a conversation with a friend recently, and I was like talking about that, and I was like, I just wish I could live in that. I really do. Like, I wish I could I don't know, make a wee home there, because it feels nice, but I don't. So yeah, I don't know. Sorry, what was the question there? I think I kind of got distracted.
No, you're good. You're following the whatever, like,
Path.
meandering path. It's fine. I just asked if that soft part of yourself is really like, because you're trying to really like hone in on who you are, and is that who you are?
It is, and it's like, and I think it's something that I really pushed down for so many years, because I, you know, men aren't soft, right? So we're told, at least anyway. And
Right.
like, and like, here's the thing about that as well, is that like, and I don't say this as a kind of reaction to this, but like, I'm strong in a lot of ways, you know, like, I can see my strengths in a lot of ways, and I'm, again, in my good moments, happy I am the way I am, but like, I think that yeah, it very much is the way it's made in my core, I think, you know, and it's, I've always kind of struggled with that, because, you know, I think can speak broadly about the West. Again, my experience with the West is that like, it is still kind of, men are supposed to be a certain way, and I'm not really that way, and that's kind of, then it's kind of tough to reconcile that, and it's kind of tough to kind of know your place in the world whenever you don't fit in that sort of box, I guess. Yeah.
What do you do? What do you do for yourself when you're having a down day? Like, what are the things where you're like, all right, Andy, like, do you wallow? Do you?
Huh. It's a good question. I it depends. And like, it depends what sort of, I can pull myself out of it sometimes, and it's fine. I am really struggling these days to spend time by myself. Like, it's really bad, and
It's super hard.
oh,
That's a thing for you too.
oh yeah, it's a nightmare. And it's got worse in recent time, and like, I'm really struggling even to like enjoy downtime or like watching shows. Like, I'm so, like, my friend like sent me a movie to watch, and it's like 2.5 hours long, and I'm like, man, there's no way I'm watching this anytime soon. I'm just like I'm too on one. It's just bad, you know. But yeah, I guess I for me, it is always spending time with people. It's being around people. I really love it. I really do. And like, but like, I will be oftentimes stressed out when I'm with people, but like, as soon as I leave, I'm away from people, I feel such a sense of loss, and it's really hard. Sometimes, you know, it's really hard to like walk away from that. So yeah, I think so. Yeah, I guess spending time with people is the best way. I also find video games work really well for me, because they are consuming in every way. So it's like physically, mentally. I am, you know. So it's, and I think it's just a distraction rather than a fix, but it allows me to kind of like not engage with that for a while, and I kind of quite like that. I don't.
It's okay to take a break.
It is, yeah. I think it's avoidance more than, you know, dealing with it.
It's okay to avoid
And I think that I need that. You're right, because if avoidance, I guess, allows me to take a break, you know. Whereas like watching something is so passive, you know. It's easy for me to like my mind to wander, or yeah, exactly. What about yourself?
So sometimes mine can be symptomatic. So like I'll have, you know, a migraine or whatever, or I just like my fatigue level is at a point that I just can't do anything. And then I feel sad about that because I can't, like Mike has to take the kids to school and I can't parent, and I can't do the things that you know, he does so much and I do so little because of my health stuff, but so the things that I normally am able to do, like I hold on so tight, and there's such little things, but when I can't do them, that's really hard. And so then, yeah, I'm hard on myself. So usually, you know, when it's fatigue related, I have to just lay in bed, and I just have to allow, and I'll just say, you know, hey, Mike, it's a bed day. And he's like, okay. And then he knows, like, he's going to come in every 30 minutes and just be like, check on me, make sure I'm not crying. And, you know, you know, sometimes I have to take medication for it just to kind of pull me out of the really deep, dark stuff. But I will say I'm getting better at allowing. But my problem is, and this is why I have a hard time being just by myself, is I ruminate.
Yeah.
And it's like this is like a topic in therapy every week. I ruminate. I think back like 15 years ago to this thing that happened, or 5 years ago to this thing that happened, or like, you know, and like I can't change the past, but boy, can I think about it over and over and over and over and over, right? And I can't pull. I'm like actively working on trying not to ruminate right now, and that is the hardest part. And so I am always listening to a podcast. I am always, you know, like working on this podcast has been a really great way to avoid. You know, because I'm doing stuff on the back end, and it's just been nice to have something to do.
Yeah.
Because I haven't had much to do for so many years, right? And yeah. I also don't, you know, we moved here. I don't have a lot of I don't have a lot of community. I don't have a lot of friends here. And so where I can, you know, just little things, I'm trying to be better about reaching out to people, because I think I'm similar to you in that, like, I do, you
thrive off
the
that
energy. Yeah, I feed off of, you know, being around people and laughing and all of that. So
yeah, no, that's a good answer. I think I need a mic. I need a female mic.
It's pretty. I don't know. Like, I don't know what I would do without him.
He's
honestly.
Awesome. No, that's a great answer. So something I had been thinking about was well, I suppose two different things. I mean, would you have any advice for any people who are feeling like this, and also would you have any advice for people who have somebody else in their life who's going through this, like, you know, what they could do?
Yeah. So, and I might have to ask you to repeat those questions.
Sure.
So I would say my advice is, like, do like a daily check in on yourself. So, like, how am I feeling today? What's been worrying me lately? Or what's worrying me today?
Yeah.
This is a big one. Am I providing my body with, like, the basic necessities, the basic needs? Like, am I feeding it? Am I watering it? Is it getting enough sleep? Because those things for me, like, will totally throw me off. You'll like this one. what am I doing to bring myself joy today?
Oh, nice. Somebody really smart must have
Yeah, right.
said
Right.
come up with that one.
Who would that? And then do I have people do I have people in my corner that I could talk to
Yeah,
today if I need to?
that's a big one.
And it's not like it's not a long-term thing. It's like a daily
Yeah,
thing. It's a it's unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, that this level of self-awareness that you need to have to know like where you are and what you need. So that would be my advice, is just to start there.
yeah, I like that. That's
And
a good one.
obviously get a therapist,
Yes.
if you can afford it. And I'll put this in the intro, but we have some resources both for the USA and the
Yeah.
UK, for folks that need emotional mental health support. And then what was the second part?
It was advice for people who maybe have somebody in their lives who's
Yeah,
struggling.
yeah. This is a good one.
It's tough.
This is like what I'm fiery about.
Yes, me too.
Like, don't tell them to get over it.
Yes.
Don't tell them that you are, your problems are worse than theirs.
Yes.
Don't tell them, oh, it just comes with age. Don't tell them that, that there's something wrong with them. Don't tell them to shove it down. Like,
Yeah.
what I would say is, ask them if they need a hug.
Yes.
Ask them, if they need actual, like, someone to come over and help. Like, ask them if they need a meal. Ask them what they need.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
And listen.
Yeah.
And listen. And listen. That would be what I would say.
No, that's good. That's a good answer.
And you're gonna hear stuff, like, if you're the support person, you're gonna hear stuff that's might be scary. You're gonna
Yes.
hear stuff that you don't necessarily want to hear, and you just have to bear that burden,
Yes.
because that's being a good family member or friend. So,
I think.
what about you?
So I'll take the first one, I guess, first. So, like, in terms of advice I'd have for people that are going through it, is, I guess, don't internalize it. It's so valuable getting it out there. It can be tough finding the right arena for that, the right person and whatever, but it is, things always feel a lot better when you vocalize them, I think, certainly in my opinion is, and like, I think that if things like are just circling through your head, they fester and they can become incredibly damaging, I think, and so much worse.
I think you and I are verbal processors.
Yeah.
Big time.
Very much so.
Obviously.
I think
Here we are.
True. Like, I think that, like, as well, I mean, there's so and this is a conversation I've had with a few different friends, like, there is such a sort of limited, your tools in terms of the words that you have to use are so limited in terms of describing what's going on. All you can do is the best you can do in terms of, like, thinking about it and vocalizing it to somebody. But as I say, I really do think it's important to talk to somebody, a professional especially. So, like, if you have access to it, it is invaluable. I'm kind of the opinion that, like, therapy should be like running water. It should be like that, ubiquitous. Everybody. The world would be infinitely better if we all like.
It would be like the fourth meal or something,
Yes.
right?
It would be.
It would just.
Oh yeah.
You just add it in, right?
Like,
not every day, but
I mean, obviously it would be a disaster for the economy and whatnot, but, like, stuff the economy, honestly. But anyway, so my advice for people who have somebody in their life that they see as struggling is, and this is a lot harder than people think, but is learn to listen. Like,
yeah.
Shut up and listen. And if they want help, they will ask you for help. Because if you try to help them, it will just shut them down, and you will not get, because, like, so many people seem to get caught up in this idea that there's a fix for everything, and I think and like accepting that there's not a fix sometimes. All you can do is kind of maintain, or it's a bit of a release in a way, but I think it's a hard conclusion for a lot of people to kind of come to. I think most of the people I know who I would say are good listeners have been through the ringer, kind of know the score, and like I have friends that I can ask, how are you doing? And they're like, I'm not good, but I don't want to talk about it. I'm like, no problems. If you don't want to talk about it, let me know. And then we can just talk about other interests that we have, just to kind of, because it's like, there's nothing worse than really kind of forcing somebody to talk about something when they're not ready as well, You really need to have just patience. And it's hard. It's really hard, but I think just being there for them, like even if somebody is having a hard time and they don't want to talk about it, just being in the same room as them is huge, There's a song I let Beth listen to when we were in
is this the
Old Note.
Is this the I listen to it like once a week.
We should post a link to it actually in the
I will.
So I listened to it. It came on when I was working the other night, and I was like, I will try not to cry, and I didn't cry. But then I immediately went and I listened to a song called Black Dog by Arlo Parks, which I think I might have sent to you before. I don't know if I did, but it is.
You did.
It's like one of the most, like in terms of a piece of music that best captures, I guess, the idea of depression. It's incredible, I think. And I listened to it immediately afterwards because it was like, I didn't cry for Old Note, and then immediately cried in my workplace while listening to Black Dog.
Can we just talk about how crying is such a good thing?
Oh, so cathartic. But it's like...
It is.
But like how it's so interesting in a social setting if you cry, because people just freeze. They're just like, oh my God, what do I do? And it's like, it's such a shame because it's so, and then I think it just stops people from crying, and it's such an amazing release valve, at least, for me anyway.
Mm-hmm. I cry if other people cry.
Yeah. I cry.
I've always cried when other people, if my sister would hurt herself, I would cry, kind of thing.
I think, I told you before, my weird sort of crying in animated movies thing, which I did tell you this.
Did you?
Yeah, I think I thought about it. I think it's related to An American Tail, the Fievel movie.
Oh yes,
right.
Oh, totally cried at that one.
And I remember. So, there's a point where he kind of gets lost and he's singing... I can't remember the name of the song, but, he's singing...
Somewhere out there.
Somewhere out there. Oh, God. And I remember, him being... And, I so...
Beneath the pale...
Yes! Oh, Beth, don't. And I immediately empathized with him, and I was, on the same page as him, and I was, that so resonated with me, and I think that's what stays with me. But, there's so many... If there's a sad moment in a cartoon, I'll cry at, sad moments in stupid human movies, but for animated movies, it gets me so easily. It's crazy. It's laser targeted to make me cry.
It's your child self.
I think so. Yeah.
It's your soft self.
It is.
That's just the guard is down. You're watching a cartoon, right?
It's especially though, I don't know why, but see overcoming the odds moments, or whenever the one bit that gets me, and it will it's bizarre, is that in The Incredibles, The Incredibles?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So whenever this is the first movie, whenever the family goes to the island, and they are the first time they're ever sort of working as a team, and they're fighting all the kind of bad guys, that kills me. I'm crying my eyes out and that the whole way through.
I cry at movies a lot.
Yeah.
We watched so the first time I'm sure I talk about The Greatest Showman all the time, but the first time I watched it, it was because I've had to sort of retool, okay, what is my life going to look like?
Yeah.
and the whole I get like Barnum and Bailey Circus and all the horrible things they did, but the musical's really good, and that it's a so, but it's the whole idea is this is the life I'm going to have. This is the life I'm going to lead. This is all of the adventure we're going to have. Like, you can create the world, you can create the world you want to have. And I was just like,
yeah,
like cried through the whole movie. The kids are just like, are you okay? Like, so for me, it's that idea of creating the world the way that you want to see it.
Yeah, very much so.
Me and meaning me, right?
Yes,
obviously,
100%. Yeah, I got you.
So, but yeah, was it somewhere out there?
It is. That's definitely the.
Okay, I'm gonna double check because I'm not trusting my.
No, it is. It definitely is. You said
okay.
it, and immediately I remembered it. It is.
Okay. Okay. Because when he's like sitting in the
somewhere out there. You can't tell listeners that we're both blubbing our eyes out now.
Right. Do you have any more questions?
I don't think so. I mean,
this is something I could literally talk about this like forever.
Yeah, we could do like a 3-hour podcast on this, I think. I mean, like, I think it might be a good...
We can revisit it.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
Maybe in like 6 months or something.
I think it would be a good one to revisit. And I guess kind of if anybody who's listening has any questions or, any things that we didn't cover that you want to go over, let us know and we can do it again. Because, like, I think some people have already said to me that they wanted more, like, travel stuff and things like that. And I think...
Okay.
So, like, there's definitely the capacity for doing more of this. I think this is a topic that's relevant to the mental health I'm back to now is sort of relevant to a lot of people. I think, like, everybody has mental health struggles, I really do. And I think that it's, like, such a underserved part of our, like, society, So, yeah, again, yeah, and if hearing us talk about any of these things was helpful to you, then that's awesome. And if you've got to say, if you have any more questions or anything else you'd like to go over in this area, please let us know.
Yeah, and you can email us at support@bendypodcast.com. We're on all the socials, Bendy the podcast, so you can, you don't have to post it. You can DM us, and have private conversations, but. And if you do have anything to share that would be helpful for other people, we'll definitely add it to our website and put it up on the social media channels.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Do you want to talk about joy?
Oh, yeah. So, oh no. So what's bringing me joy? Oh, what a nightmare.
Yes. On the spot, my friend.
So I have a good one. So I guess I was going to do music, but I talked about the songs that were resonant with me recently. And music's constantly bringing me joy. It really is. But I think I might do a few playlists actually and put them in there.
Can we do a Bendy playlist?
Yeah, we should. Like, I've got
Spotify.
A few some songs I think people would like. But
Andy's got really good taste in music.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna say. Yeah. Mine is like all over the map and makes no sense, but that's just how my brain works.
I mean, mine's pretty much all over the map too, but like I think I really kind of like to, I don't know, I really like to seek out interesting stuff. But anyway, so I have been reading a book called Boyfriends, and one of my male friends bought it for me. Shout out to Mike if you're listening. It's an amazing gift. But it's about it's a guy's memoir talking about the male friends he's had in his life and taking stock of it all. It's the centerpiece is basically he was friends with a guy that was in a band. I think they were called Frightened Rabbit. People are going to be mad at me if I get this wrong. But he was in a band.
Don't be mad at Andy. Let him finish.
And he committed suicide. He was this guy's best friend. And the framework for the book is that he is both... He's writing this in the months after his friend has killed himself. So he's writing about his life after then and how he's dealing with the grief of and the loss of a friend who was that close to him. Mm-hmm. And he's just going through all of his friendships in his life, like very warts and all. and I'm really enjoying it. It's really invigorating. It's such a really unflinching look at sort of male friendships and the bonds that they form, and like how important they are, and also like how rare that sort of meaningful connection is. So yeah, it's really bringing me joy this week.
That's great. I will find it and
I'll
post it.
Yeah, I'll link
Yeah.
it.
I wrote myself a note, so
Okay.
Don't worry about it. So I always have to write these down because on the spot I'm just like, nothing. What are you talking about? Joy. But actually, so I've been trying to talk with my friend Zan, who I've known her since like 2004. I hired her when I was working at the college. She was like the first student I ever hired. And it's like, I was like 23 and she was like 20. So, the age difference isn't that terrible at that point. And then she graduated and we just became like such good friends. And, so she's the one that told me about the tomato timer.
Okay.
So thanks, Anne. And then she was like, I have to show you something. And I'm not meaning this to be like, demeaning or make you feel bad in any way. But she holds her phone up and there's a voicemail for me from 2018. And she was like, this is the last time that you sent me a voicemail. And like, granted, I texted her like, a couple.
Yeah.
But like, she was like, I wasn't going to delete this until I talked to you again. And then I could delete it, right? But I was like, yeah, well, thinking through, like, I was working full time. I was like lobbying in DC, and then we went to yoga, and then I got COVID, and then I was like dying, and I was like, these are all the reasons. And, she was like, and I'm like, I'm like, glad you saved the voicemail, because what if I died, right? And she was like, haha. But it was just like, I think I said an episode ago or something that I was going to work harder. The friendship episode.
Yes.
Where I was like, I'm going to work harder at being like a better friend. And so I've actually been active on that. And so talked to her for like 2 hours. She is doing amazing. She took the photos that are Mike's on my wedding. We had babies on the same day, on the same year. She had Elizabeth and I had Charles. So we know that we have royalty coming down the lineage. But it was so nice to connect with someone that knows me so well, has known me so long, and like it's just nice to be remembered, and like that she was holding on this voicemail from me, like, yeah, and it did make me feel a little bad.
Sure.
But I was like, and now you can never delete it.
Yes.
She's like, I know. So, but I would say my joy is reconnecting with her.
That's lovely.
It's been great. Yeah. So.
Good, awesome, good, great one. Yeah, that's really nice.
Yes,
lovely.
She's the good egg.
And
she has like a farm in Vermont now with like 1,500 sheep.
What was the name again? Sorry,
Zan.
Okay.
So her name's Susanna.
Susanna. Okay, so she's Zan. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Zan.
Yeah. Hi, Zan. Yeah. And yeah.
That's a lovely one. Yeah, I like it a lot. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's always nice. I mean, there's, it's reminded me of somebody in particular that I do actually need to reach out to. And we've talked about this person before, and I need to make an effort because I still feel. I just want to say I just want to catch up with them again, and I need to just be the person who does that. I think I'm pretty good with that in my life. Like, I'm not like, there's so many people I know who are just like, haven't heard from that person in ages, and I'm like, have you reached out to them? No. Well, like, I'm not like super prideful, like, oh, this person hasn't spoken to me in a long time. I'm just like, yeah, you know what? If I want to speak to this person, I'm going to speak to them. They don't need, I hate that sort of build, because like, what a crap way to lose a friend is because, nobody can make the effort to make that first step,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep. Okay, well, I'm going to be your accountability buddy on this.
Okay.
So next week, you're going to tell me that you reached out to them.
Okay. Done deal. Okay. It fills me with trepidation, but I'm going to do it.
I know. Stress. Here you go.
Yeah. Sounds good. Oh, yeah. I've got something else, but it's off pod. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, sorry, listeners.
Maybe we'll have a what are they, Patreon, where we talk about
all our secret.
All next year.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll figure that out. Anyways, well, thank you, listeners.
Thank you, listeners. We love you. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, pay Patreon because I love doing this. So, like, if we could be paid for this would be freaking awesome.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. I know it would be nice.
So, you know you like it. You want to pay for it, okay? But yes, so we love you. Great to see you as always. And
always. Thank you, everybody.
So, ready? Stay.
Okay.
Okay. Stay. Bendy. Amazing, our best yet. Bye.
That's the best one. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Bendy, a Beth and Andy podcast. We are extremely grateful to all of you who have tuned in so far and really appreciate your support. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple, Amazon and YouTube, and follow us on social media to keep up to date on the silly things we're up to and new episodes. You can listen to all of our episodes, submit ideas for future podcast topics, ask us for advice, submit a joke or interview request at bendypodcast.com. If anyone listening has or continues to struggle with mental health issues, we have some resources available on our website. Don't struggle alone, folks. Talk to someone, please. Next week's episode is an answer to one of our first requests, which was to expand on our travel stories from one of our earlier episodes. Except this time, we get into our weirdest and wildest stories. Yes, even weirder and wilder than last time. Be sure to tune in, and as always, thanks for being here with us.